And we are back, boys. Calcio Guys, Adreano, Gianni. I'm Nicholas. Season 7. Here are the Calcio Guys City A preview week ahead of the kickoff for the 2024-2025 City A season. Guys, how's it going?
I'm doing okay. Not super excited for the school year to begin, but because every time the Serie A season starts, it signifies the end of summer break. But excited to see what happens this season with all the changes. How about you, Adri?
Johnny's been kicking it, so he's living that teacher life. So it's good to have the summers off, right? So, but no, I'm good. I'm good. Happy to be back. Happy to be back with you. Obviously, you guys. Season 7, man. It's been a hell of a ride. I can't believe it's already season 7. We've been doing 7 of these damn previews. We never get them right, but hopefully this year's the year.
We haven't done an episode. It's over a month since Italy got eliminated in the Euros. So we were busy this summer. We might as well go around the table and share, because I know we pretty much all had exciting summers. Adri, you went to Italy. I myself went to Italy. I know Gianni didn't go anywhere, but you had some exciting summers. You didn't go to Italy, but hey, you're still judging Yu-Gi-Oh. You're traveling with Yu-Gi-Oh. I know you had an exciting summer. Every time I message you, like, Gianni, what are you doing tonight? You're like, oh, I'm busy. So I think you had the busiest summer out of the three of us.
Pretty much, yeah. I actually did not rest. I used my summer to do activities. Like this weekend, I'm traveling again. So,
where are you off to?
Sacramento. I have to go work a Yu-Gi-Oh event in Sacramento. Leaving on Thursday, coming back Monday night, essentially. So, fortunately, won't be able to do game 1 or like day 1 unless we postpone the episode, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, no, I mean, Johnny's been all over the States. I've been seeing he's even emceeing. If you follow him on Instagram, him and his brother, a little dynamic duo with the DJ MC gigs. Love to see it. So, but yeah, for me, I mean, yeah, like Nick said, I think I said it on the podcast before we went on this little bit of a hiatus. But yes, I was in Italy as well for about a month, just before Nick took off. So. A bit of a busy schedule, but needed to get some I guess vacation time in, and it's always a good time to travel back to the motherland. It's like a good refresh. So hopefully as the years go on, hopefully hoping to go there more often, and just kind of recharge the batteries. You, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, went to Italy too for some family weddings. So shout out to my cousins that got married back to back. As much as I enjoyed going to the weddings, back-to-back weddings on 2 days in a row, it's an adventure. Let's just put it that way. But it was fun. Obviously, really hot there. Never felt the heat that bad in Rome, but obviously enjoyed all the food. Went to the beach in Pescara. So I was the real tourist in Italy. Got to really enjoy it. And one thing I noticed, this is I was there still during the Euros, the end of the Euros. Obviously, Italy was eliminated, but I didn't see as much. I guess you could say calcio culture, maybe because I was in more of the touristy areas. But even with family, no one really talked about soccer. They were all enjoying their summers. I guess that's how it is. It's different than when we went Adriano, we were immersed in the culture of calcio. But regardless, it was fun. And then I know each of our teams had some interesting summers. Regarding some moves, we'll go round table again. Talk about each of our teams' moves this summer. Players in, players out. For me, a coaching change. For you as well, Adriano.
And Gianni.
And Jan. 3 of the 4 of our teams coaching change. So we're gonna have to talk about that. But we might as well start with Gianni. Since you have 2 teams, you can choose whichever team you want to start with. Might as well start with Napoli, just because they did have that coaching change, bringing Kante. I wouldn't say out of the blue, but it's surprising. It's gonna be interesting to see how him and De Laurentiis work together.
Well, I mean, last year was a bit of a precursor to this move. Like originally, when Napoli was going through their whole issue of finding a replacement coach, Kante was the name that was thrown around a bit. And, people were making jokes and whatever, and memes and stuff, and we all do it with good laughs. And I'm like, there's no in my head, I'm like, Conte won't come to Napoli unless they actually have a serious game plan and a serious idea. And with the whole mess of at the start of last season with the Osimhen situation, this array of the team, the poor performances, the rumors would come out at Scalia's agent and stuff. Di Lorenzo's later on. Di Lorenzo's like publicity stunt with threatening to move to Juventus. Because things weren't getting changed or there was no serious actions being taken. I'm like, there's no way Conte touches this with a 10-foot pole. And then lo and behold, I guess Di Laurentiis threw him enough money to get him to come to the team. Now, I like the idea. I like no matter where Conte has gone, the team has produced results. Besides Tottenham, but Tottenham themselves they had Mourinho in the past over there, and things never changed. That's just a mess of a team. I think Conte, like ever since then, that he signed with the team, Lorenzo retracted his statement, apologized for it. Osimhen seems to be, excited to work with Conte with a serious coach, which is a good sign. Mind you, he could still potentially leave, but and then like Kvaratskhelia, like it was never really him. It was mostly his agents that were just basically trying to milk more money or to. But I feel like as if having a good coach like Conte would get him excited to play again this season, especially after a great Euro showing. I think this anchors the team, which is what they needed. They needed somebody to just ground everybody. Yeah, cool heads will prevail, especially. But mind you, Conte is not a cool head himself. But in a sense where like you have somebody who has
He's a legitimate coach.
exactly. He's gotten league results no matter where he's gone. So that's what I like what he brings. He is enthusiastic to coach Napoli, which is very nice. I mean, I don't think like even though the amount of money he's probably receiving, I don't know the exact number, but even at that, I think he still likes the fact that he's got a very good roster of a team that doesn't require too much of I guess too many change. Like they have done some changes, but not too much. I think still more to come because he wants more to come. But I like the fact that he gives the team direction and something that they desperately missed. Would you like me to go on Roma's behalf, or we're just going to move on to just coaches that were changed?
Adri, talk. We'll come back
We'll
to
go
you,
around.
Gianni.
Yeah, we'll go around.
Yeah, Adri, talk some
Figure it.
Milan, and then I'll talk some Juve, then we'll go back for Roma.
Yeah.
Just because I know Roma had some transfers, but they're
No,
the
okay,
only team
no.
that didn't make an official coaching change.
No, but they confirmed.
No, they
Yeah,
confirmed they are. They
They
secured
confirmed
they
the
secured
DDR.
their Ross. They secured their Rossi, which I think was good. And for Conte's sake, at Napoli, I mean, I think it was important, and I think all the rumors that we thought might happen and didn't expect it to happen end up happening. So he seems eager.
And one thing I do want to say just before you start off, AJ, sorry,
Yeah.
Conte seems like the only coach that is willing to butt heads with Di Laurentiis on how to manage the team. Like, even though Di Laurentiis is giving him the paycheck, I think Conte would also like butt back, and I think he won't be a guy to, back down or get in.
Yeah.
Like Di Laurentiis is a pit bull. Conte's a pit bull. They're gonna he won't be a guy where it's like he's gonna back off or lower his tail if De Laurentiis has one of his fits. They're both
No, Conte has balls. Conte has
exactly,
balls.
which is very nice to see.
He's shown it in the past. Obviously with Inter and Juve, and obviously his success elsewhere. But what was the first thing he said? I'm a fadiga, right? So let's go. Let's get to work. So let's go. So he seems eager, which I think after last season Napoli needs. So it's a positive thing. Their striker situation, I think, is a bit of an interesting one with Osimhen looking like he wants to leave. What I've been seeing. I know the rumors of Lukaku is all still there. So, and his relationship with Conte. So that seems like a match made in heaven. Does it happen? We don't know. There's still so much time left in the Mercato. There's a couple weeks, which is definitely still a lot of time. So we'll see. Going to Milan, yeah, another coaching change. A coaching change that at the end of the season. Last year for Milan, for me, I was still on the fence with the whole Pioli thing. I think it was, I guess, a breath of fresh air to change. Did I like, the option that we ended up signing in Fonseca? Initially, no. I'll be honest. Seeing the preseason, kind of just seeing how the team is kind of gelling together. It looks like a decent move, but again, we're still in the honeymoon stage, so. It's we'll really be able to see and judge and criticize once the Serie A season kicks off. I think after that 10-game mark, mid-season we can kind of give like these these little judgmental calls and see if is he the man or is he not? Because if Milan fans want to admit it or not, Pioli brought us a Scudetto that we hadn't touched in a decade, brought us back into Champions League and progression throughout the Champions League each and every year, getting to a semifinal as well, and losing to ultimately Inter, who went to the final, who unfortunately they lost, but it was a big showing that year as well. So can Fonseca replicate that? Can the team get to those levels again? I think only time will tell. I mean, for me, the positions of need so far have been somewhat touched in terms of we lose Giroud, we pick up Morata, which I think is an interesting move. At first, I wasn't sure how to take it, but obviously this is a player that has experience in this league, is coming off such a high, winning the Euros with Spain, with all merit, captaining that side. So he obviously is a winner. He's scored pretty much everywhere he's went. Is it really an upgrade from Giroud? I guess maybe only in the age department. He's, I think, 6-7 years younger than him. So it obviously helps on that aspect. He still has some juice in those legs, because at the end we saw Giroud, just like we saw with Zlatan, didn't have that juice and that energy in those legs to really run onto balls and get into space. But I think it's going to help our other attackers, our wingers, our Tarek Artista, our number 10, whoever that may be. I know Fonseca experiments Pulisic in that role a bit in the preseason, which seemed to work because Chukwueze looked like he's in for a good season just by seeing his preseason form, which obviously doesn't tell the whole tale, but it's a good sign. It's going in a positive direction. So we'll see how they line up. We still do need help throughout the roster. This is a roster that still has a lot of holes. We have had 3 signings so far. A lot of Milan Twitter and a lot of Milan social media I don't think is totally on board yet. I know there's still a lot of people criticizing the moves and the lack of moves, the lack of movement. We need help in certain areas, like I said, and it seems like it takes a while for these moves to really ultimately come to fruition. But besides Morata, they've obviously brought in Pavlovic, the center back, which I think is good. He seems like a big body center back that can really play physical. We need help in the defense. We saw it last year, leaking all kinds of goals. Does that stem from the midfield? Does that stem from the defense? Wherever you want to point that finger, we were leaking goals. So I think some help in the defense definitely helps. Is it enough? I still don't think so. We brought in Emerson Royale today, which again is a move that I'm not a big fan of, but I hope, just being an optimistic fan, I hope that he, changes my mind and a lot of Milan fans' minds, because his play at Tottenham just didn't look like kind of something we needed. If we really wanted to be if we really wanted to get a replacement for Calabria, that people have been saying we need an upgrade over Calabria, I don't think he's the guy. But again, only time will tell. Besides that, I mean, there's obviously Milan is still linked to other players. The Fofana midfielder from Monaco has been up in the air since the Mercato opened. Are we going to finally pull the trigger on him this window? Are we going to try to get him on a free for next year? I don't know. It seems that seems to be the news from all media outlets currently. So we'll see on that one. I think we desperately need another midfielder, another CDM box to box type of guy, which can help a lot. But again, like I said, we kept a good core of our players that we thought going into this summer that we might lose. So far, so good. The Leaos, the Teos, the Magnons of the world are still, cornerstones of this team, which is good. But again, we still need a lot of help in other areas, replacements, backups. Theo can only play so many games. We had Florenzi playing out there when he was out, and now Florenzi is out pretty much, I think, for the season, if not a good chunk of months with a knee injury that he suffered in preseason. But again, it's a fresh start under Fonseca. He seems to be eager. I think we're going to see a lot more offensive football, which is good. But again, we still need to shore up the defense and stock up the midfield. So that's good. I think again, the positive sign, like I said, they went undefeated in preseason, which I feel like I haven't seen quite in quite some time with Milan in preseason. Again, I know it's preseason. I know it doesn't mean everything. It doesn't paint the whole picture. But just to start off on a fresh start in a positive way, I think is something to note. We saw some young players get some minutes too, especially Toriani in nets. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Obviously, with Milan's under 22 Milan Futuro in Serie C, kind of like the Juve next gen, I think is another positive thing that this management might, I think, in the back burner is kind of really hoping that they progress, that they do well, maybe try to get to Serie B as quick as possible, try to really develop these players. The likes of Camarda obviously is the biggest name, but Liberali, Zeroli, these are all young players that couldn't get minutes in the first team, potentially down the line, and we hope to continue to develop them. But definitely need some more reinforcements on in terms of the first team, like I said. And I'm hoping to start off the Fonseca era on a positive note.
And just to add in quickly, last time Fonseca was in Serie A was with Roma, and he managed to bring him to a Europa League semifinal. So might help him also. Like they had some good recent runs in international competition. Maybe he might be able to continue that with Milan as well.
I hope so. Like I think, listen, I think he's obviously an experienced coach. Yes, like he's gone around. He's had his experiences in other leagues as well. I don't think he was obviously the flashiest name. I don't think he was the fan favorite name when we were trying to appoint a coach. It's done. He's the manager. We'll see how long it lasts. But again, I think ultimately everybody seems to be looking on the same page. First test, real test is this Saturday against Torino to really kick off the season. So I'm hoping, like I said, that everything gels together. Everybody is on the same page, and his ideas kind of come to fruition, and we start off on the right foot.
All right, guys. How much time do I have to talk about Juve?
Come on,
2,
you're already
3 hours,
complaining.
4 hours?
You're already complaining. They've had a good window.
No, they haven't.
Come on.
No, they haven't. They
what
haven't.
do you mean?
They're self-sabotaging the team by publicly announcing that they want to get rid of all these players. What is it? They have like basically a starting 11 of players they want to get rid of. Chesney, Giallo, Rugani, Fugando, Gonzalez, whatever. The defense, that's fine.
You forgot those guys were on the team.
Yeah, I did. I did. DeShilio, whatever.
Yeah.
But here's McKennie, Artur, again, doesn't really count. Kostic, Milik, Keza. It's the attack that you're publicly, locking these players out of the team. What are you going to do? I understand some of these are not good, not up to Juve quality. Some of them, like Keza, he has 1 year left on his contract. But what happens? What happens if you can't sell them? I understand. I have no problem with Juve getting rid of Keza. I really don't. I just don't like how they're approaching it, especially him. You can make the argument with Kostic, Milik, like they don't have market value anyways. Keza too probably doesn't have much market value. Maybe 10, 15 million. For him, it's the wage bill that really makes a difference. And you could say he could go to any other team for free next season, which is true. But at the same time, if you have him, either you play him this season or you do business behind closed doors. Obviously, they did get a couple of players. Obviously, Di Gregorio coming in. It makes sense that Chesney's on his way out. Douglas Luiz coming in, basically more or less to replace Rabiot as that kind of box-to-box midfielder. And then Thuram, I guess more as a replacement for McKennie. And then Juan Cabal to give another player on the wings. I know he's more of a right defensive back versus Alexandro going out, who again didn't play a lot last season. He was more on the left side. So the players coming in are fine. It just feels like there's so many players leaving the team right now that there's no depth, and the fact that they're going back into Champions League and they need depth is a problem. And at the same time, what I've seen from them in the preseason is worrying. Obviously, Thiago Motta coming in, and first game against Nuremberg 3-0. I know it's preseason, guys. I know the first team didn't play, but then they go out 2-2 versus Brest. Sure, they beat Juve Next Gen in their typical friendly match 4-0, and then they lose yesterday with their starting 11 2-0 against Atletico Madrid. For me, that's the worrying game. What's going to happen next week against Como? Como's coming up into the Serie A for what? Is it the first time, or is it the first time in a long time for them? What are they not going to get 3 points against Como? If Motta fails to get 3 points against him, you already know there's going to be a ton of reaction online, because it feels like the past 2 years, people complaining about Allegri, this and that, and at the end of the day, he got the job done. It wasn't the prettiest sometimes, and there were games where we should have won and we didn't. But the fact that it's already starting off not well under the Motta era, and I understand that all these moves, it's not up to him, and that's behind management. That's Giuntoli. That's the direction of the club. But at the end of the day, he's the face of the club. He's the leader of the club, the same way Allegri was. So the same way that people blamed Allegri for certain transfers, this whole situation right now, I'm not saying blame Motta, but he has to be responsible. He has to understand that whether it's Giuntoli's decisions to lock out these players out of the club or his decisions, he has this team to work with, and he has to get the results. I understand there's going to be growing pains. There really are going to be growing pains. I don't think Juve is winning the Scudetto this year, but we need to at least be better than last year at the end of the season when it comes to the points total. At least some progress, and then the year after you get even more points, and then the year after maybe you win the Scudetto. So I know there's some time left in the transfer season, and there's a bunch of rumors. Obviously, Nico Gonzalez, Koopmeiners, which they're good players, and I'd be very happy if Juve ends up with them. But when are these deals getting done? We're August 12th. There's 18 days left in the transfer season. Koopmeiners, it feels like it's been forever that Juve's been waiting for him. Obviously, the Nico Gonzalez stuff came out today. Again, I don't know how true that is. But, regardless, it seems that Motta wants to play a certain way, and some players don't meet that system, like Chiesa. And you know what, guys? What?
Sorry. No. So I was going to, just because you said Chiesa's name, I have a hard time believing that Motta can't find a spot for Chiesa on this team.
I don't.
You don't? He had Orsolini playing the same role last season, and he scored double-digit goals.
Why
can't Chiesa do the same? Get Salamakers playing as well. Like I don't get it, to be honest.
He was playing a 3-5-2, right? With Bologna.
And potentially, yeah.
And Orsolini was playing where? On the right side?
I thought it was like a 3-7, his specialized system.
A 3-4-3 or something.
Chiesa, yeah, I don't know what formation it was, but he made it work. So I don't know.
Guys, I said this all last season. Ever since his injury, he wasn't the same, and that includes playing different positions. He struggled as a second striker under Allegri.
Oh yeah, I give you
him. It's left wing or nothing.
But it wasn't just Chiesa struggling last year under Allegri.
No. But Nick has a point. Like Chiesa's not a striker. Like he cannot play there. Like
he's always.
We're totally with that.
Even
I just have a hard time understanding when Motta first came out and said, and kind of like you said, froze him out of the squad, saying that he doesn't have a spot on this team, he doesn't fit the system. How's that? I don't get how that's possible. Like I said, had Orsolini, again, not to break Nick Diani's heart here, but a lesser in terms of quality overall than Chiesa, and he performed last season no problem. Chiesa unfortunately won't have that opportunity, it seems like, because Motta doesn't seem to think that he's part of the squad, which again I don't understand. But again, maybe help me understand, Nick, because I don't follow you there.
I think if Chiesa wanted him to play on the right side, if Motta wanted him to play on the right side, I don't even think Chiesa suits that role. I know he plays that with the national team, but he's a left winger. and that's his position. And if Mata isn't playing a 4-3-3, and I don't even see him as a left wing back, he doesn't track back as much as he used to. Again, pre-injury Keza, he played left wing back, right wing back under Pirlo. He was tracking back all over. After injury, not so much. And you know what? I know there's a whole contract situation where he's valuing himself a lot more than what he should be. Guys,
nobody's paying him $9 million.
No one is. You know, what were his stats like last season? Did he even reach 10 goals? Was it? Is it still
8 and 8? No, right? Was it him? What, 8 and 8?
9. So
or
9 goals in Serie A, 1 in the Coppa Italia. Guys,
so 10,
he scored 10 goals in Serie A only once, and that was with Fiorentina.
Yeah,
you know,
Gianni said it.
I really enjoyed Keza. You know, his 2020-21 season. Obviously, what he did for the national team at the Euros. But since that injury, guys, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not going to outright say his career is done, but this is not the same Keza, and people need to understand that. And it's frustrating because I saw him play obviously so much last season, right? And you see that decline. If you watch every single game, you see the decline. He doesn't even have the stamina. How many times did he play 90 minutes last year? It was not a lot, you know, and it sucks, but for him, for the club, maybe a fresh start will do him well. Maybe he goes to a team where he doesn't have the pressure. I don't know. There's rumors that Inter wants him. If he goes there, there's no pressure. There's other superstars that are going to carry the team. He could have another 7 goals, 7 assists season, and no one's going to complain. If he has a 7 goal, 7 assist season as one of the best, quote unquote, best players that he's supposed to be at Juve, that's not good. Does that make sense?
It all depends on I get you. It all depends on his wages. Like I said, nobody's going to pay that $9 million that he values himself at, or whatever the rumor numbers are. Especially with 1 year left on his contract, like you're saying, teams would be stupid to pay him that type of money now when they can get him on a free and kind of not have to worry about a transfer fee and kind of negotiate the contract for his wages at a lower price. But listen, I still think there's value there. Would I take him on Milan? I would say yes. I wouldn't break the bank on him, obviously. But again, it's almost like a lose-lose here because what are you gonna fucking make him rot on the bench for a year? Like that's a ballsy move to do if you're Juve. But if they want to put their foot down and that's the direction they want to go, it might be the option if they can't find a buyer this window or in the winter. So we'll see. I mean, Milan has had a history of losing guys for free when they should have made some money off of them. Didn't. Will it be the same with Chiesa? Again, I don't know. I think only time will tell for that as well. But it's for me, it's an interesting one. I think a lot of teams, well, not publicly because it seems like nobody wants him, but I think behind closed doors, I think teams are definitely looking his direction. But they need to try to convince him to lower those that demand on the wages because, like I said, nobody's paying him that type of money. He's going to have to bite his own bullet and accept something lower, especially in Serie A, because what teams are paying? There's only who's the top guy? Who's the top? Lautaro, I think, just signed his contract today until 2029. I think he's making one of the most in the league, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I'm not 100% sure. There's not very many players in Serie A even making 7, 8, 9 million a year. So Chiesa is going to have to get off his high horse a bit and come down to maybe 4, max 5 if he's lucky. Like there's no chance. Like he wants double that. I don't think it's going to happen. So we'll see. But I think for Juve's sake, just to bounce off your points, Nick, if I can give my 2 cents, I think that the coup miners, if that happens, I think that's a big plus for you guys. I mean, we've been saying how many years Juve's midfield. I think slowly, they're kind of, with the Douglas Luiz deal, if they bring in two coup miners, I think will be a big help. Do they still have Rabiot on the team?
Contract's time, he's out.
Contract's up. He's a free agent, or he has another year.
No, the contract was done. They didn't re-sign him.
They didn't re-sign him. Okay, so he's out the door. So, listen, they need pieces, obviously, still. I still think they had a decent window so far. But again, I think for all of our teams, I think it's, it's a time will tell type of situation. And I think it's going to be growing pains, like you said, Nick, and I agree with that point. Not only for you, but I think for all our teams personally, and a lot of the top teams, maybe besides Inter, because again, they still seem to be, the most well-oiled machine so far. Adding some pieces, locking down their captain in Lautaro Martinez until 2029 today was obviously a big thing for them. They finally got that done. So, but I think besides them, I think it's going to be growing pains for a lot of the top teams. Even though everybody has maybe high hopes for some of these teams, I think it's still going to be a lot of growing pains.
Before we, Gianni, I know you still have to talk about Roma, but
I'm just saying.
I just want to. I know none of us are Inter fans, but I do want to mention them because I think they had
so much better.
Yeah,
I think they had much better.
Yeah, I think they had the best off season. This is the champions, and they got better. They didn't really lose much. Sure, they lost Cuadrado and Alexis Sanchez, but
who'd they add?
Zielinski and Terami.
Terami and Zielinski. Okay.
Yeah,
Joseph Martinez, the backup. I think
the goalie.
They got another keeper from Genoa.
Yeah, and I think
they signed somebody else though.
The main names, that's pretty much it. I'm just looking. Yeah, out of the main names, out of the impact players, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Either way, yeah. Re-signing their players too. I mean, I think is huge.
Yeah, the team is basically staying afloat with their game plan. Is they basically are just adding on to what they did last year. It's even like with their so-called losses in terms of like Cuadrado and stuff. Like, is there really such heavy losses? Like no. It's not. It's their starting 11 is practically intact. Their bench is still solid. It's going to be hard to dethrone the champs this year. I would say it's nearly impossible, but that's just maybe I might be getting ahead of myself. But I don't really see another team that's strong enough to compete with that, unless they have like a fucking weird tire blowout, like we saw Napoli have this year, where just out of nowhere, like it just nothing's working. But then again, right, Napoli also had management change and a lot of changes in the last, like that. They had a lot going on. Inter has nothing going on in terms of like publicity and whatnot. They'll be fine. So it's really hard to bet against them, to be honest with you.
I don't think this season, again, maybe it's just trying to be optimistic that the race is a bit tighter, but I don't think whoever wins, if it's going to be Inter, whoever people want to say, I don't think they're going to run away with it. I do think it's going to be closer than last season, because last year, let's face it, guys, it was a joke at the end. What was it? Almost 20 points difference between first and second, 18, 19, whatever, 19. I don't remember at the end, but it was double-digit points, high double-digit points difference from 1 to 2, if I'm not mistaken. 19, right? So that's unacceptable. We saw it obviously in the Napoli year. We saw it again last season with Inter. I think just generally, I think we want a bit of a more tighter race for the Scudetto, something to be excited about. When Milan won, it was down to the last match day. Maybe it doesn't need to be that dramatic, but it keeps the eyeballs on the screen all the way till match day 38 instead of match day, what was it, 28, and they almost pretty much won the damn thing. So I think it's going to be a bit of a tighter race. I kind of even like Atalanta made some moves, bringing
Retegui is a nice addition, but is it
Zaniolo
really
and Retegui for Scamacca that went down, unfortunately, with his injury. I don't know if it's enough, because if they lose Coop Miners, I think that's going to hurt. But I mean, listen, they were able to pull the trigger fast, man. Like, Milan has been talking about Fofana in the midfield for fucking weeks, months. Coop Miners with Juve, weeks, months. Lukaku to Napoli, weeks, months. And Atalanta pulls the trigger right away. They lose. Scamacca goes down with his ACL or whatever it was, and Retegui next day is in. Like, good. I find it was good business. Good business for Genoa too. I think they made some profit off of him, on a quick flip there. So Zaniolo coming in, I think is
It's
there's
also good
any
for the national team getting Retegui to a team like Atalanta.
exactly, because I think if there's any place for these types of players, well, I think Retegui obviously was doing pretty decent with Genoa, but now it's a
Well, for
step
sure,
above.
but you want to play with a more higher tier team.
It's exactly
No disrespect to Genoa, but in sense
no,
of like a team that's competing in the upper table more than Genoa is, you know. So like,
yeah, no,
not
I
even,
totally agree,
you know
totally
what I
agree.
mean?
Like step above, playing in Europe. I think we'll do him well, hopefully for even the national team. But again, like a player like Zaniolo, who has been off the map since his injury. Talk about pre Zaniolo, Zaniolo injury, post Zaniolo injury. I think he's had a crazier decline than a guy like Chiesa, even though they both have had that. But Zaniolo, I think at Atalanta and Bergamo, if there's any place to kind of get his feet back on the ground, I think it's there. Gasparini, I think, has shown it with the players that have been thrown his way. So, I mean, I'm curious to see how that plays out. Scalvini coming back from injury too with his injury. So, for Atalanta, so I know, and I think they had some other moves, which I'm not off the top of my head, I can't remember, but at least those two moves that were in the forefront in the news lately seem like positive things for Atalanta.